welcome back to this week's episode of the Hoggie Shuffle. This is episode 2. You got your host here, Preston, and co-host Robbie.
Hello.
We're just two brothers who love talking football and want to have a fun time.
Love talking big guys.
Which you want to bring up first?
I want to go into I got 5 minutes. I want to go into this couple of linemen that we got coming up in the draft. A couple big ones I think that might go in the first round. Calvin Banks Jr. out of Texas.
Oh, yeah.
He's a pretty big dude. He's 6'5", 315. He's very versatile. He's a left tackle. Probably a starter. I'm not sure if he'd start right at tackle in the NFL or, if you'd have to put him interior-wise, but he's got very impressive footwork, reliable blocking skills. He's had a great career at Texas. He's the winner of the 2024 Lombardi Award and the Outland Trophy. The only downside that a lot of guys are talking about out there is that he's got very short arms to play tackle. Besides that, he's pretty good. They're just worried that a lot of guys are worried that's going to affect, the pass rush coming against him if he doesn't have the reach to go out there and get a lot of guys. But, that's a very small, minuscule thing in my eyes on a guy like that.
He's 100%.
Day one starter in my eyes.
And you know how it is as an offensive line guy, as an offensive line coach. I mean, at the end of the day, your ability to make a block and read the defense and come downhill has little to nothing to do with the length of arms, the size of hands. I mean, the same thing as the Will Campbell. I mean, I know he's getting a lot of the same kind of stuff against him. He's got the same type of build where big guy comes down, but a little bit smaller hands. But I think he's 95th percentile for broad jump. Right. So it's just so he's got the power. He's got the power in the legs. He can obviously block downhill. He's got the great run blocking ability. I don't see what the big deal is. And people are always freaking out, the hand size. Oh, he's got tiny little hands. I mean, I don't know. To me, I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think that makes a big difference.
I like that Calvin Banks Jr. I'm pretty sure that he was a full-time starter as a redshirt freshman, played all 13 games his first season with the Texans. And I mean, Texas, that's a big school. And, you know what I mean? To be a young guy, 19, 18 years old and going up, and he's already going into the draft at 21. Obviously he must be doing something good. Now, the next guy we got up on here is out of Oregon, Josh Cornelius Jr. He's 6'4.5", 311 pounds. Now, a lot of guys out there are thinking this guy's going to be the next Tunsil. Like he's fast, he's explosive, his IQ is off the chart. He's a little small. A lot of guys will say he's a little small, only at 311 pounds. But again, his footwork is tremendous. If you needed him to play guard, you needed him to play center, he is easily that kind of guy that could bump down and play those guys for you, those spots. Like I see him going to the Colts right out of the gate. Like this guy, I think Colts will lock on to this guy.
Well, I mean, what was he, third team All-American, AP All-American last year?
Team,
I mean, that's pretty great. I mean, that's still really successful as an offensive lineman to make that squad.
The next guy up is Tate Ratledge from Georgia. I mean, when you're a guy and you're playing football in America and you're going to a school like Georgia where they, pretty much every great running back to come play in the NFL came out of Georgia, it's not true, but it seems sometimes that could be true. Like I remember 5-6 years ago, they had 8 guys all at running back, played in the NFL at one time, off one team. Like, that's crazy business.
A lot of defensive linemen, too.
Powerful athletic guard. Like, he is a starting guard in the NFL, I believe. Like, his run blocking is outmatched by a lot of guys out there, and especially in his zone scheme. The only thing that he's got going for him is he's a little bit accident prone. Like, he's getting hurt all the time, MC sprain. A lot of guys are picking him to go in the third round. Some guys see him in late second round, late first round, early second round.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
One of the guys I really want to talk to, I didn't see much. I just picked this up today. He just came across the wire. Somebody was talking about Armand Membu, I believe his name is. Don't quote me on the name, and I apologize if I didn't get that right. 332 pounds, 33.5-inch arms, 9 3/4-inch hands. I had to highlight that because this guy is one bad mamma jamma, and he's coming out of, what did I say he's coming out of?
Missouri.
Yeah, he's coming out of Missouri.
Yeah. Missouri. Yep. From Missouri, playing in Missouri.
Right.
Plays for the Missouri Tigers.
A lot of strength. He's got great power, low body strength. He's got big legs. He's a great second-level blocker, great combination blocker. Fundamentally, very, very great footwork. And you know what? We know as offensive line guys that you can spot a talent just by looking at his feet. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
100%.
Like, if you can get a guy that just has that footwork, and it could be a wide receiver. Sometimes you got to go pluck a wide receiver and get him up playing offensive line because he's, you just look at that footwork. Now, downsides for him is he's not a very good guy against the bull rush. Anybody comes with power, he's definitely lacking there. He's a little bit, round around the middle, so he might need a little work there. And he's not a violent striker. He, in my eyes, like, to be the guy when you need to be the guy, you got to be a mean mother
100%
trucker.
you do.
Got to be a mean mother trucker.
The best offensive linemen at the end of the day are always the nicest people off the field. They put
100%.
that bucket on, they strap those pads on, and they're ready to go to a war.
100%. And last but not least, we got Jared Wilson coming out of Georgia. I don't know if he's going to go in the first round. I believe more so he'll be like a late second round, early third round guy. But hey, we're here for one reason, and we're here to talk about the big men, and this is the guy. Jared Wilson, Georgia, another guy from Georgia, 6'3", 310. So, he's a pretty big dude, a little short. Highly active center. Highly near perfect, 9.98 relative athletic score, excels in pass protection, sees the blitz aggressively, and likes to play aggressively. Only downside, limited experience. I don't think he was a starter till his junior year, maybe even his senior year. And he's a little bit slow in the feet, so getting up to that next level and seeing the field, he's a little tough doing those things. But potentially, he could be a long-term center in the league. Everyone's zone blocks, right? So, I mean, when you're always zone blocking, you want a guy that's just a good, smart center that can read the plays, see where the mic is, and understand what the defense is doing.
Well, exactly. You want someone that can work the double, shed up to go to upfield, get that backer, and be fast enough to get there. Right, so when you're a 6'3", what was it, 313 or something like that? I mean, that's 310, right? That's perfect size and weight to be able to be a fast, agile center, get downhill, make those upfield blocks, and absolutely be a dog for your team.
Righto. Those are my guys. I see those will be the top linemen picked, I think, this year.
So I want to branch it off a little bit here and get a little less formal for a minute. So I got a question for you, actually. What do you think your biggest injury that you played through and pushed through and kept playing through because you're an offensive lineman and it's almost expected of you to push through and be the toughest guy out there?
Two worst ones I ever played through. Second would be broken ribs. Playing with a broken rib was one of the toughest experiences of my life. Just that breathing aspect of the game where you need it to get upfield. Well, that was probably one of the worst. And then the worst was I tore my labrum. That pretty much ended my football career right there. I tore the labrum. I could no longer play left tackle. I had to only play interior spots, maybe a little bit of right. But as soon as I went to search block it was just not the same for me again. How about yourself?
For me, I would say worst one for sure was my ankle. I had a really buggered up ankle going through, and then starting off that I think it was my grade 11 season there, buggered it up pretty bad there to start the season off. So throughout the entire year, I had an ankle lock in like this, but like this, where it was locked in, taped up, and I could not move my ankle at all. It was locked in, and I played maybe half the games that season and going into grade 12 season. I mean, I couldn't. I only could play the important games, the ones we needed to have the starters into, because that's where we were at. I wasn't going to abandon the team. I wasn't going to just pack it up. It's tough because I look back and do I think it was worth it? Honestly, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't change a thing I did. You can laugh all you want. I know people back home will be laughing, but I truly can say I wouldn't change a single thing. I mean, we got to go on an undefeated season that year and ride off into the sunset with my brother as my coach. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And a big reason why I wanted to bring this part up is because I feel like linemen, as a group, as a whole, offense or defensive line, we're held to this standard where we're expected to go out there, heavy breathing, sweat soaked jerseys, dirt everywhere. We're getting in goddamn car crashes every single play, every single play, and we're expected to just pack it up, get in the huddle, do it again and again and again.
And it's not even just that. We need you to do that full contact, high level, every play to make sure the play happens.
Exactly. Right? You're not getting the touchdown. You're not getting the first down. You're not getting any sort of ball touching. You're not getting any of that. But without the offensive line pushing through and having those car crashes, or the defensive line pushing through and having those car crashes, we don't get any sacks. We don't get any first downs. We don't get any touchdowns. The game just stands still.
Right. I mean, that brings up a next point too, is that we had something on the schedule for talking about this new award coming up for the NFL. It's not new yet, and it's not an award yet. But guys like us, we're going to get on the airwaves, we're going to get on the media waves, and we are going to talk about this until we're blue in the face. You're probably going to hear us talk about it every podcast at least once. We're going to touch on a couple names, and there's a couple guys out there right now in the pro leagues. They're pushing. They're pushing to get an award called the Protector of the Year award. Because, I mean, let's be honest. You don't do anything in pro football without the 5 guys up front.
Oh, and then what do we get? We get, oh, cool, that guy was the highest PFF grade this year.
Right.
What does that show? I want to see some hardware. I want to see a guy take a trophy home. I want to see when those accolades come up at the end of the year, we get to see Protector of the Year out there.
Right, and so that's what Buffalo Bills left tackle Deion Dawkins, he's got this proposal going out that we have this Protector of the Year, and he said the same thing. Like, let me just read. I'm just going to go off script here and read what he said. No problem. Offensive linemen don't have an award for being great, Dawkins said. They're not the Protector of the Year award. I'm knocking on as many doors now to get this thing going. I'm going to spearhead it and make sure it gets done before I'm done playing. That's like, let's be honest, like that's a big statement. Like
100%
we need this award because there's so many greats. There's so many greats in the Hall of Fame. There's so many greats that will never even make the Hall of Fame because there's so many guys that have never been recognized, like a quarterback gets recognized or a running back gets recognized, and they all have their own titles and they have all their own things. But I mean, we're in the realm of the NFL right now where linemen in the last 10 years have finally started to get paid as top tier players. Guys that you can't live without on your team because you could have the shiniest little chess pieces in your backfield, but if you don't have these big pawns up front, we ain't going anywhere. We ain't doing nothing. And again, if you're an O lineman and you like this message, spread the message. Protector of the Year award. You're having a conversation with your buddies and they're talking about, what's up and coming, what's cool in the NFL. This is up and coming. This is probably one of the most prestigious awards, and it would be cool if they could backdate it, say 20 years, and just go and say, "Hey, this guy was the best for this year. Let's give him the award. Let's send it out. Let's bring him in." Let's, what I mean? Like, in my eyes, that would be the right thing to do. Is it going to happen? Definitely not.
But is it fair to say that Larry Allen wouldn't have a stint of 4 to 5 years straight where he's back-to-back champion?
Jeepers creepers, are you kidding me?
Is it fair to say that there's a lot of guys, the Joe Thomases out there or the Whitworths out there that they wouldn't have the hardware in their house to go along with what, they didn't get the careers they wanted to. I know Whitworth went and got one, for sure he did.
Sailed off into the sunset.
Exactly. I mean, that's important to have, but the guy's career could have been a lot more leveled out when he even went to the Rams if he had had his hardware. What I mean? It just felt that recognition.
In my eyes, it's not just that. You look at defensive linemen; they're getting defensive MVPs, and linebackers are getting MVPs. They're getting Madden covers. Right. They're getting shoe deals. They're getting all this stuff. But what about us? Like, what about the guys? Like, what about the boys? Like, you look at what just happened in the NFL with the championship game. Like, that game doesn't go anywhere without those 5 guys up front. Absolutely,
and the Eagles know it. Look at today,
right? 100%.
Cam Jurgens, that's huge. 4 years, $68 million deal.
Paying him the money. How much it was guaranteed? Almost $30 million.
Right? That's huge.
He's set for the rest of his life.
Literally.
If he didn't play another down of football tomorrow, he would be safe.
I mean, that's the biggest thing when it comes to offensive linemen is the average career is so much shorter than the rest of the people in the league. I mean, average, I think it's 3 to 4 seasons. Right? So you compare that out to all your quarterbacks out there. I know there's not every day, there's not Tom Brady's playing for 20 years, but I mean, the average quarterback's playing, 10 seasons. He's getting paid after year 3. And nowadays, look at these rookie contracts. They're getting paid all this guaranteed money. These guys coming out of NIL deals coming from college. Where's the love for the big boys?
It has to be. And you're not seeing linemen getting these big NIL deals yet, but you bet your
it's
butt it's coming.
100%
guys like us, we got to keep the noise going. We got to get that motion going and say, hey, pay these guys. We need these guys on our team. I wouldn't be mad if the Raiders drafted one of these linemen first overall in the first, are you kidding me?
It's a win. You're setting your team up for success always when you draft an offensive lineman because it's not like drafting a skill position. These skill positions are out there where they're running around, they're doing their 40 times, they're doing all this kind of stuff. You look at the offensive lineman and there's 2 big things you got to look at. And honestly, it's broad jump and bench press. And if you can have a good broad jump and a strong bench press, you are going to
100%.
be a very successful offensive lineman because that just shows you have the power coming from your hips, coming through your chest.
Hear that, coaches?
On through.
Coaches out there watching this, you're in high school, you're in bantam football, whatever league you're from. Those are the two things O linemen need. You get those two things down pat, you're going to have yourself a successful O lineman.
100%.
Let's switch it up a little bit. We've been talking about the big guys. Let's switch it up a little bit. I want to talk about this, and this is what's kind of piquing my interest in the draft right now. It's like, I know the Raiders aren't going for a quarterback. We could go for a lineman, we could go for defense, but I want to know what everyone thinks about Ashton Genchi. Like, Ashton, is he that next level player? Is he a Bo Jackson? Is he a Reggie Bush? What is he like? Where is he going to fit? Where's he going to fit? Like, you know what I mean? He's thick. He's big. He's got power. He can block. He can hit. He can catch the ball apparently really well, right? Comes out as a freshman, scores 7 touchdowns on 13 games. I think he had almost 800 yards. Next season comes out, doubles it in both. Doubles his touchdowns, doubles his production carrying the ball. Comes out for his 3rd season, absolutely owns college football. Is that going to transcend to the next level?
I think so. I think if he can get onto a team that has a solid offensive line, he'll be successful in the early part of his career. If he doesn't, he's going to be in a situation like every other running back you've seen in the last 5 or 10 years where they're going to play their first few seasons, they're going to rot away, and then they're going to go to a team that has an offensive line, and then they're successful. It's crazy.
Right. Like, I'd love to see him, obviously. I would love to have him as a Raider. We're not too good at paying our draft picks. Usually we like to build them up and then just send them off. Like, we had a really great running back, won the running back rushing trophy, and then, next year, sorry, we're not going to keep you because we don't want to pay you an extra $1 million. And what does he do? Goes over to Green Bay, and he had a great season last year. And
look at DeMarco Murray.
There you go.
He was the rushing record leader for the Dallas Cowboys, comes to the Eagles, and does absolutely nothing. So it's a coin flip. When you take someone that was successful one season, it doesn't automatically translate that they're going to be successful on your team. And they could have been better in that system with those coaches, with the running back coach, with the different offensive linemen they had, with the scheme it was running, where they just, it all depends, right? They got to go to a program or a team that's going to make them successful. It's going to actually work with them and want to see them succeed, right? So you get a guy like Christian McCaffrey going, Derrick Henry going to the Ravens. You got Saquon coming to the Eagles. All those guys have now found better success on other teams because of the fact that those teams did one thing and one thing only. They beefed their offensive line to make sure they'd be successful in the run game.
Howie Roseman, baby. Everyone knows his name in the NFL right now, and they're trying to capture a piece of what that guy's doing right now. I guarantee it. Everyone. From Andy Reid to anybody. You can name it. They are trying to draft the same way.
This is another good one for you. What do you think about Sanders? I'm not going to butcher that first name. I'm not even going to attempt that one.
Shedeur Sanders?
Shedeur?
Yeah, Shedeur.
Shedeur Sanders. I think he's going to be very successful, but I've seen him and Travis Hunter both had their jerseys retired.
I seen that. There was some
What do you think?
There was some stink made about
personally, I think that, they did what needed to be done in that program, and I know that Coach Dion had a lot to do with it. He did great. He did a lot of stuff, but I think the reality is you take those two guys off that program, especially Travis Hunter, but you take those two guys out of there and the social media hype that they had, and no one's talking about those games. No one's going there. No one's doing those things, right? So, I think, yes, success on the field was huge for them, but I think the reason that there's so much hype is because of their social media presence.
Excuse me. I don't disagree with that statement at all. When you got a coach that's as big as Prime, and no matter what Prime does, Prime's big. Prime could be on a sitcom and he'd be big. I'm pretty sure he is. Now, I really appreciated what Prime said when who was it? Cordell Stewart was talking. How come he never got his jersey number retired? And it's just like, well, Cordell, you're a great player. You're amazing. But is your last name Prime? Because those kids, I didn't care. Travis Hunter went there to be with Prime, so you might as well just say his last name is Prime.
That's fair.
Right? So how are you going to compare the two?
100%.
Were you a super standout? Did you win all the things? You didn't win nothing. Was your name in the Heisman? Maybe. But you were not a Deion Sanders relative. And let's be honest, even Deion Sanders says, I'm not the fast one in my family.
Junebug is.
Junebug. So, at that point, you're going to talk to these kids, and how are you going to try to take that away from these kids? Because they're just kids. They're just kids. You're going to just go on the media and say, "Oh no, not congratulations! I never got my number retired." Like, come on, Peter Pan, grow up.
Exactly.
We don't need that.
No, to be an adult and to look back and to be pissy or upset that these kids are successful. Like, I've seen coaches let kids ruin their whole mindset and just live in their head rent free. And to me, it's just they're kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna do those things, but they're also gonna be successful. And you got to give them their flowers when they deserve it. You do.
100%, 1,000%.
So another thing I wanted to talk about was we had a few comments on the social media that I wanted to bring up a little bit. So first one was, what positions did me and you playing football?
I was primarily a left tackle in my early high school. I played a little bit of junior football, and then later in life I played a little bit of senior men's football, and I played all line spots. I played left tackle, right tackle, guard. Not too much center. It's pretty tall. So, when you're 6'5", it's pretty tough, especially when you're, middle-aged, overweight man playing center. Not so good, not where I like to be. How about you? Where'd you play?
For me, I played a little bit of both sides of the ball. I was a pretty hefty kid growing up, and so I started out playing some center, working my way up there, and then shifted into some defensive line, and then I don't know what it is. I love playing O-line. I love the unity. I love just being part of the group, being with the boys, and me being, not the tallest guy. The opposite of you here is I played center. I was the guy inside the field. I was the guy. I really wanted to make sure that I was the nucleus of the unit that we had out there, and that we really worked hard to be successful on the field and be with those guys. That's why I really enjoyed playing center and playing offensive line. And now as a coach, getting to give that knowledge back to kids. I mean, it's the best thing in life.
Oh, it's the greatest thing in life. I always said, just playing football was awesome. But when you get to get back to your team and you get there and you're coaching the team that you played on, and it just has that next level experience, which,
100%.
I highly recommend anybody. If you're an ex-player or whatever, go get back involved in the game. Be a ref, be a coach.
So much fun. Do something with it.
Be a volunteer with it, because it's the greatest fulfillment you could ever have in the sport. Is when you see what somebody did for you and you pay that back. Like
100%.
That's a message that I've spread for my whole entire football life.
It's just an amazing feeling. I can tell you, when you get to see those kids that are, they're awkward at first, and all of a sudden near the end of the season, they're successful. They're making blocks. They're running around. Like, I had a kid. He's the nicest kid in the world. And he goes out and he's playing center for me, and he pancakes this kid. And unfortunately, it was a big hit. Like, he hit him good, and ambulance had to come. It was a pretty serious situation, and he's upset. He's crying. He's really upset. And I just looked at him like, dude, you did nothing wrong. You did everything possibly right there to be successful. And football's a dangerous sport. It happens. But it just showed his character so much when I seen him reach the hand out there to pick that kid up off the ground and really show the humility out there that, as much as he is a brute and offensive lineman, we're still the nicest people out there. And that's 100%. The reality. Offensive linemen, like I said in the earlier part of this episode, we might be the meanest mother effers on the field, but I'll tell you, off the field, we're the first people that are going to hold the door open, right, walk that old lady across the street, and make sure we clean up that garbage.
And you better be, because that's a big statement. And that's 100%. Big guys. We live our whole lives where we have to be a little softer, a little bigger, than everybody else. But at the end of the day, if you get the right person teaching you how to use that, it'll take you wherever you want to go in life.
Oh, always. Now, another good question came out. We were talking last week with the quarterbacks getting drafted in the first round, being kind of a 50-50 coin toss. And so we had a follower out there commented, when it comes to the topic, the question I pose is this: is it a scouting issue or is it a team culture issue? When you have a high first round pick, you're typically a bad team or a franchise. And those things combined, it's a bad culture. So it's hard to get the best out of those players. The New York Jets are a great example. They draft Darnold and Geno Smith. They both don't succeed, but they find greener pastures elsewhere.
Hey, I'm sitting here every night before I go to bed hoping that Geno Smith comes out and he's been playing like he's been playing the last couple of years for the Seahawks, because, we need something good in Vegas. Like, we need something good in Vegas. I'm really hoping. I'm really, really, really hoping.
Well, I think him and Carroll have something special.
Did you say Darnold?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam Darnold. Same thing. Like what he did last season. He had a great season, probably his best season he had in his career.
100%. Right, and that's what I was talking about earlier, where even like I said, running backs, but it translates into this part as well too. When you're coming from a team that just, isn't like reverse here, but it isn't working for you. It's not working well. The coach and you are button heads. You and the offensive coordinator are button heads. It's not the offense you want to run. It's not made tailored around you. And all of a sudden, a team goes out and we're going to say, hey, we're going to trade for you. We're gonna put these assets out there, and we want you to come to our program. Now they want to tailor the offense around. Now they want you to be successful. Now they want to see their investment pay out, right? Versus the team that drafts you, their capital's a little bit lower, so they don't really care as much if the investment pays out because, we'll just draft somebody else, or we'll just sign a free agent, right?
We'll see how he is tomorrow, kind of deal.
And exactly, right? But when you get to go to a program where you're successful, all of a sudden, now that, veteran minimum Geno Smith was getting turns into a big contract. Now he's getting paid, right? I mean, that's huge.
I loved seeing the Raiders pay him. Like, he's seeing,
it's unreal.
Seeing a guy get what he deserves. Like, and that guy, he was on the bad side of an NFL career right out of the gate. You know what I mean? And then to be able to go do what he did with Pete Carroll, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like, absolutely nothing short of the miracle right there. And I'm just praying. As I said, I'm praying that miracle translates into some wins for the Raiders. Like, because we need them. Like, I'm sorry, we need them.
I really hope so. As I said, I'm obviously a big Eagles fan, but you being a Raiders fan, there's a little bit of love there for me too. I love watching those games with you and just getting to enjoy those times with you and stuff. And I'm going to miss that. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to miss that a little bit. But that's life.
We got the podcast.
This is why we're doing this. This is the whole reason why we're doing this. It's awesome.
We can't watch football together, but
we're recording this on Monday, by the way. So this morning I did post a post out there, and it was a question. I wanted to know what people were thinking. We got a couple responses. Got one, bench one, start one. Tua, Dak, Jalen Hurts.
Well, what are your options? Obviously, we're cutting Tua. I'm sorry. I got to give it up to Dak Prescott. At least he's a little. I'm not saying he's not tougher, but he's not as concussion protocol. He doesn't get as many hits to the head, obviously. So maybe his offensive line's been a little bit better. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is our starter. 2-time Super Bowler, 1-time Super Bowl MVP. He's got the chip. So yeah, he's obviously our starter. And then, as I said, Prescott. I'm not a Dallas fan. I do love the Eagles. You look at a guy like Dak Prescott and you think, this guy's got it all. And then you watch the game. And you're just like, what in the heck happened?
So I'm going to answer this in the most unbiased way I possibly can. And it's tough, as you can see. I'm even wearing the Eagles hat answering this. I think that Dak is in that situation, like we just talked about, where I think that, truthfully, if he was to go to a program that actually wanted to see him be successful, he would be successful. But the problem is, they have an owner who is set in his ways, that it is his way or the highway, and that's how it goes. And if he wants to keep you, guess what? He will just throw as much money at the board, and you're not going to turn it down.
No, definitely not.
Right at the end of the day, it'd be stupid to turn it down. So obviously my answer is start Jalen, bench Dak, cut Tua. Same reasons why I really think that Tua's a bit too injury prone, that I would never really want to trust him in that situation. But again, trying to be as unbiased as I possibly can, being an Eagles fan, I really think that if Dak was on a different team, he would be, and it's a tough one to say, that I think he would be equally as successful as Jalen Hurts.
And it's fair enough. The guy's got all the tools in the bag. Sometimes it just doesn't show up, or sometimes it's a perfect storm and it doesn't work out for the Cowboys. I don't know. The Cowboys have been on a drought for a long time. They haven't been there since the early 90s, mid 90s, right?
100%, right. And
they haven't even barely made the playoffs since then. I got this one buddy that's a Dallas Cowboys fan. Sometimes I don't know what's going on in that guy's head. He's a little bit outlandish, and I sorry, I'm not trying to call you out, but come on,
But I think we're all a little delusional when it comes to our own team.
Oh,
we all want to pretend like our team is the best of the best of the best, and we're going to be successful. If I'd be lying if I told you I didn't think the Eagles were going back to the Super Bowl, right? But that's a true fan. If you don't you don't die and believe that your team is going to be successful, like there was a couple comments today. We had a couple Dallas fans, it seems like, on there, but they were talking about obviously playing Dak, benching Hurts, cutting Tua. Hurts is only elevated because of his offensive line. Tua's mid at most times.
And that's a fair statement. That's a fair statement.
There's been a lot of games you can see where when our offensive line goes down, we struggle a lot. And it's tough. But And that's why, again, with this podcast, the offensive line is so important. You know what I
It's the
mean?
most
Like,
important.
at the end of the day, yes, do I believe that you could put another quarterback in that situation and we'd still be successful? I do. I don't think we'd be as successful because I think when you take away Jalen Hurts, you lose a lot of that RPO ability and you lose a lot of that quarterback running ability. Whereas you
100%.
see when we put guys like Minshew, we put guys like Pickett in, it wasn't successful. You know, it didn't work as well because they didn't have that ability to escape the pocket and run.
I think they had the ability. They definitely had the ability. Where did they have the confidence? No.
And that could be it too.
That's a big thing. Like you look at a
Love
guy
Hurts.
like you look at Jalen Hurts and you look at him and he is just all about the right things.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like he is all about only the right things. Okay, let's move on to a little new session. We're going to call this one Lightning Round. I got 20 questions here. I'm going to pick 5.
Love it.
Just at random. You've seen the questions. They've been up there for about a week. I'm going to pick 5 and we'll go. You got about a minute, 30 seconds to answer each question. Just be quick.
We're just going to do first 5?
No, I'm just going to randomly pick them.
Love it. Okay.
All right. Which coach is this is going to be a crazy one. Which coach do you think is going to be on the hottest seat this year coming up?
Which coach do I think is on the hottest seat? Ooh. Dan Campbell.
You think Dan Campbell?
I think Dan Campbell. Here's why. You take a guy like Dan Campbell, who he's been building the pieces together for the last, probably what, he's been there 4 seasons now? 5 seasons?
I think so, 5 seasons.
Right around there. Right? He's been building that program up. So they're at the cusp where they're Super Bowl or bust, right? If I'm the owner, I'm looking at the team where I'm going, or the GM, I'm looking at the team where I'm going, I know this guy's awesome in the locker room. He's great at rallying the guys, but we just can't get over the hump. So I think he's got, if not this season, next season, if he doesn't get over the hump, he's probably going to be relocated somewhere else. I could really see him being in the hot seat if they, don't succeed for sure.
Definitely. Because who knows what could happen? It's an NFL. Like the division they play in, it's one piece on either team, and,
Exactly.
It's going to be a way tougher win. Okay, next up. Aha. Here's a good one. I like to talk about this. Which offensive lineman becomes a household name this year?
Ooh.
Who's gonna be the next chunky soup guy?
Ooh. Obviously, I'm going to be a little biased here, but I don't know. I think Malik Becton's the piece we need.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see him held to a lot higher regard this year. I think, being with the Eagles offensive line and having Coach Stoutland, I could see him being an all-pro this year, if not first team, second team all-pro, and becoming a really successful guy. I could see him making a Pro Bowl selection, and definitely being a top-graded PFF guy for sure.
Okay. Now, we talked about a couple things. We talked about some quarterbacks. We talked about those things. Now, depending on where these guys go, which division will be the toughest this year? AFC North and NFC East. So AFC North, you got the Steelers, you got the Ravens, you got the Browns, and you got the Bengals. We just named 2 of the best teams in the league right there, possibly 3 if the Steelers can figure out their quarterback situation. And then, NFC East. Like, that's a big division you guys got out there. You know what I mean? 3 teams potentially last season were like playoff contenders for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? The Cowboys show up a little bit more. There's 3 teams in that division that were heavy rankers, heavy hitters.
Oh, 100%. I mean, obviously, the Commanders are on a huge comp right now. Jaden Daniels is a dog. I think they're going to be really successful. But that being said, I don't think we have the toughest division. I don't. I can't confidently say that we have our 4 teams are the best because, even if you take one team out of each side, take the Browns and take the Giants out, AFC is absolutely ridiculous. And I think the biggest thing comes down to their quarterbacks, what they have out there, and just overall their offensive play because, they're going to put 50 on you quick.
Quick. Definitely. Okay. 2 questions left. 3 down. Willen, is there a chance this year that we see a non-quarterback win MVP?
Ooh.
Can Saquon run it back? Is there another season out there for a different guy like Saquon?
It's a really tough one because obviously the MVP race is so quarterback biased. It really truly is. I think that when you have a skill position, your higher chances of getting that offensive player of the year are so much better than getting MVP. Because when you really look at it, obviously Saquon was the MVP. He Really should have been MVP 100% of the way. But it's a quarterback award. MVP truly stands for best quarterback in the league, and that's who's most likely going to get it. Now, there's those chances. There's those rare seasons where it does happen, right? But, I mean, how many times has it ever happened? Looks like there's been 18 non-quarterbacks to win MVP. AP is one of them, Adrian Peterson. We got Josh Allen last year.
Yeah.
We got Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers back-to-back. Then it goes Lamar, then Patrick Mahomes, then Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, then Adrian Peterson. So it has been over 12 years since a non-quarterback has won.
No J.J. Watt.
Before that, it was... there was back-to-back years where they had two running backs win it with Sean Alexander and LaDainian Tomlinson.
That's right. I remember those 2 seasons. That LaDainian Tomlinson season when he won it, that was a special season.
But realistically, since that era, since that timing, I mean, it became a quarterback award. I mean, realistically, when you look at the last 12 years, they're going to give it to the best quarterback.
But you got to when you say that, you got to understand that the quarterback position has absolutely transcended into something it hasn't been in recent years. Like it's
100%.
Like you look at the amount of quarterbacks since Mike Vick have come into the league that are running gunners, the guys that are picking up first downs on the norm as a quarterback with their feet.
For sure.
You know what I mean? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was all about pocket presence. It was all about the guy that can get the ball down the field, perfect timing, perfect balls. You know what I mean? That's what it was about. Now it's not.
Well, and then you look at the last 6 years, offensive player of the year has not been a quarterback.
Okay, last question. This one's going to be called the way too early Super Bowl matchup prediction.
Ooh.
Who you got?
I want the back-to-back. I want the rematch Super Bowl. I want Eagles-Chiefs. I want it back. I want it bad. I want to have every Chief naysayer crying in their room when they see another 34-0 on that scoreboard.
Right. I think the Chiefs dynasty, as you would call it, I think that's on the downward spiral. I don't think they got it to come back for, another 4th Super Bowl.
They still have Andy Reid.
You got
One thing that I know about being an Eagles fan, I'll die on Andy Reid's hill. That dude knows how to coach properly. And when you look at what he's done in the last 20 years, he is up there now with the Lombardis, with the Belichicks, with all those guys, because he's been successful for he's 20-year standpoint of taking teams to the Super Bowl.
I mean, you take wins and losses and all the things aside, and you say who's better. Is it going to be a guy, Andy Reid, or is it going to be a Belichick? Now, again, Belichick coached and won all of his championships on one team.
Exactly.
And the other guy went to a bunch of championships with another team, and he only went to one Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden he somehow stumbled upon this man, Patrick Mahomes. So
now, I will say this too, you got to realize. He also drafted both Kelsey brothers.
He did.
Right? He's also drafted a lot of great receivers that have came into that group and came into that room with Patrick Mahomes.
I'm going to go double birds. I'm going to go Baltimore Ravens, Philadelphia Eagles.
Ooh, I like that. Now let's do a little side note. Let's take out the biased. Let's take the Eagles away. Who do you think goes in the NFC if it's not the Eagles?
I would say it's coming out of that division. I think that Daniels he's the next guy. He's the real deal. Yeah, I'd say Commanders or Lions in my eyes will be the next biggest.
Yep, I agree. I think that again, out of the bias, it's Commanders Lions in the NFC Championship for the Eagles. Okay. Well, alrighty. I mean, there's that's pretty much all I wanted to go over for today's episode when it comes to any of the data stuff.
Yeah, I had some top 5 lineman session, but we'll pick that up next Tuesday.
For sure. Yeah, well, episodes come out weekly. They'll be dropping on Wednesdays. Typically, we record these either Sunday night or Monday night, so we're a couple days behind. You know, like we said last week, don't roll us over the coals. There's going to be draft stuff that comes in. Now, the biggest thing is, before we leave out, obviously, we want to say, follow us on social media. You know, we got an Instagram page going now. We got the YouTube channel going now. So, give us a follow. It means a lot. We're working hard. We really want to get the offensive line voice out there and really want to show everybody that offensive line deserve we talked about.
And we need your help. Like, we need your help. We want to know what you think about the linemen. And it's not just offensive linemen. Next session, we're going to touch on all the rookie D linemen coming up because the draft's coming up. I believe it's next weekend, is it not?
I believe it's Thursday.
Yeah,
up
this
here, actually.
Thursday.
Yeah,
Right?
this
So, I
Thursday.
mean, so next week we will talk about the defensive linemen that did get drafted because, hey, we're not leaving those D linemen out. Like, they are just as much important as the offensive linemen.
100%.
We're just a little biased because we're two big old linemen.
Now, last thing I will give out, I'm going to say my top 10 picks coming up because I know where the draft's going to be tomorrow.
Okay.
Right? The draft will be out once this drops. So my top 10 I think are going to go is Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Will Campbell, Tyler Warren, Ashant Jeffrey, Jackson Dart, Mason Greenham, Shooter Sanders, and Amand Membu. And I know Shooter Sanders is deep, but I think he's going to fall.
That Membu, I'm telling you, he jumped up the list. I'm pretty sure it was just this week he jumped onto that top 10 list.
Oh, yeah. He's really just started to make his climb up, and I think it's really going to show everybody out there that these linemen deserve to get drafted early.
100%. 100%.
Well, guys, that concludes the Hoggie Shuffle episode 2. We'll be back here next week, Wednesday. Make sure to tune in. Shoot us a follow.
Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Exactly. And we'll see you back next week.
Signing off.